The large meeting room of the Galactic Council became completely quiet when the message started playing. For 300 years, Earth had been nothing but a sad memory. It was a story that aliens told each other as a warning. The planet had reached out to space, touched the stars for a short time, and then disappeared without any explanation. Nobody knew what happened to the humans. Some alien races thought that Earth's environment had collapsed. Others believed the humans had killed each other in terrible wars. A few strange thinkers said the humans had moved to another dimension. But everyone agreed on one thing. Humanity was dead, gone forever. The species would never return. Council Director Vexithar stood very tall. He belonged to a race called the Zentarii. His skin looked like crystal and reflected the soft lights in the room. He stared at the hologram display in front of him. He could not believe what he was seeing. The message was simple. It was being broadcast on every single frequency at the same time. No one could block it or stop it. A human voice spoke clearly through the speakers. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth Defense Fleet. We are coming home. Clear the space around Sol. We will be there in 72 hours. The message ended. The silence that followed felt heavy and uncomfortable. Every alien in the room looked at each other with confusion and fear. This was impossible. Humans were supposed to be extinct, dead for 3 centuries. How could they be coming home? And what was this Earth Defense Fleet? Ambassador Krell spoke first. Her voice shook with surprise. She had 6 eyes that all blinked at different times. She belonged to the Mordathi race. The small device in her ear translated her words into a language everyone could understand. This is impossible. The Sol system is not empty. The Vrexian Mining Consortium lives there. They have been taking resources from that system for 200 years. Vexthar felt his mind working quickly. He remembered the history. The Vrexians had moved into the Sol system after waiting 50 years. They heard nothing from Earth during that time. Under Council law, any system that was abandoned could be taken by others. But there were rules. A species had to be gone for 100 years before their system could be claimed. The Vrexians had waited the full time. Everything they did was legal. Now the Vrexians had big mining operations on Mars. They had built stations that floated in space around Jupiter. They were taking valuable metals from the asteroid belt. Thousands of Vrexian workers lived in the Sol system. They had homes there, families. They thought of it as their territory now. "Get me the Vrexian ambassador right now." Vexthar's voice was firm and commanding. "And someone needs to find out what this Earth Defense Fleet is." The humans never had a unified military when they disappeared. They were divided. They fought among themselves. Lieutenant Sarah Blake worked at her computer station. Her fingers moved fast across the controls. She was pulling up every old file about humanity that existed in the Council database. The information from before the silence showed a broken species. Humans were divided by invisible lines they called borders. They had different beliefs and ideas. They could barely keep one small space station working. Their technology was very basic compared to other space races. Their ships could not even travel faster than light. "Director, I am picking up something else." Sarah's voice sounded tight and scared. "There are ships. I count dozens of them. Wait, no, there are hundreds. They are appearing just outside Council space right now." The hologram display changed. It now showed a tactical map of space. All around the outer edge, bright points of light appeared. They looked like flowers opening after rain. Each point of light was a ship. They were dropping out of faster-than-light travel. The Council had only dreamed about this kind of technology. Scientists said it needed too much energy. It should be impossible to create. "How big are these ships?" Vexthar asked. His voice stayed calm even though he felt fear growing inside him. Sarah's hands shook as she worked on her console. She checked the numbers again and again. She could not believe what she was seeing. "The smallest ships are 3 times bigger than our heavy cruisers. The largest ones are..." She stopped talking. She had to check her calculations one more time. "Director, the biggest ships are the size of small moons. They are as large as small moons." The meeting room exploded with noise. Representatives from 40 different alien species started shouting all at once. Their translator devices created a loud mess of sound. Everyone was talking over each other. Fear and panic filled the air. Vexthar raised his hand high. The room's computer system made his voice much louder than all the others. "Be quiet. Everyone needs to be silent right now." He waited until the room became still again. "We need information. Someone get me the historical data on human psychology. What made them think the way they did?" What caused them to disappear? And most important of all, he looked at the wall of ships on the display. What have they become in 300 years? A junior officer raised her hand nervously. Director, I found something in the old records. The humans came to us 300 years ago. They asked for help. They said their son was dying. They needed our technology to fix it. They offered us everything they had. Their art, their science, their resources. They even offered to work for us for centuries to pay back the debt. And what did the council say? Vexthar already knew the answer. He had read the reports before, but he needed everyone in the room to understand what had happened. The officer looked down at her screen. The council denied their request. The report says that humans were too primitive. The council does not interfere with the natural development of species. The humans did not have faster-than-light travel. They were not advanced enough for council help. The report recommended that they accept their fate with dignity. The room became very quiet. Every alien there understood what that meant. The council had let an entire species die. They had the power to save billions of lives. They chose not to because of rules and protocols. They left the humans to face extinction alone, and now they are back. Ambassador Krell's voice was barely above a whisper. With hundreds of ships. With technology we do not understand. With moon-sized vessels. What did we create when we refused to help them? Vexthar stared at the approaching fleet. He thought about what desperation could do to a species. When you are facing death, when no one will help you, when your only choices are die or adapt, what do you become? The humans had been given no help. They had been told to die quietly. Instead, they had disappeared into the darkness of space, and now they were returning with power that no one expected. Get me everything we have on human history and culture, Vexthar ordered. I want to know how they think. What drives them? What they value? We have 72 hours before they arrive at Sol. We need to understand what we are dealing with before they get there. The junior officer spoke up again. Director, there is something else in the old files. A note from the human delegation that came here 300 years ago. They left a message after the council rejected their plea for help. What did it say? The officer read from her screen. It says, we came to you with hope. We leave with a lesson. We will remember that when extinction came knocking, the galaxy watched and did nothing. If we survive this, we will never forget, and we will make sure no other species ever feels this abandoned. The room stayed silent. Everyone understood now. The humans had not just survived. They had survived with purpose. They had spent 300 years building something, and now they were coming home. The question was not whether the council could stop them. The real question was whether the council should even try. Vexthar looked around the room at all the frightened faces. We may have made the biggest mistake in council history 300 years ago. We let a species face extinction because they were not advanced enough. Now they are more advanced than us. And they remember what we did. They remember that we let them die. What do we do, Director? Sarah asked quietly. Vexthar took a deep breath. We prepare. And we hope that humans are more forgiving than we were. Because if they are not, if they decide to treat us the way we treated them, then the galaxy is about to change forever, and not in a way that favors those who refuse to help. The human fleet arrived exactly 72 hours after the first message. They did not attack anyone. They did not threaten anyone. They simply stopped at the edge of the Sol system and waited. The ships hung in space like silent giants. Each one was dark and smooth. They looked like pieces of the night sky itself had taken solid form. One single ship separated from the massive fleet. It was smaller than the others, but still impressive. The ship was sleek and black. It moved with perfect control through space. This ship headed toward the nearest Rexian mining station. The station hung in orbit around Mars. Thousands of Rexian workers lived there. They watched the approaching human ship with growing fear. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the EDS horizon. His hands were clasped behind his back. He watched through the viewport as the mining station grew larger. He was young for a captain. He was only 43 years old. That meant he had been born in space. He had been born on one of the Generation ships. He had never walked on Earth's surface. He had never felt real wind or real rain. He only knew his home planet through stories. Stories passed down from the Generation ships. Stories told by grandparents who remembered Earth before the silence. Sir, they are calling us. Lieutenant Danny Chen spoke from the communication station. His voice was calm and professional. Put them through. Jake's voice was steady. He had been preparing for this moment his entire life. A Vrexian face appeared on the screen in front of him. The face looked like an insect. It had hard angular features and large compound eyes. The eyes reflected rainbow patterns in the bridge lighting. The Vrexian's mandibles moved as he spoke. "This is Station Commander Thrix. What gives you the right to enter this system? Sol has been claimed under council law for 200 years. This is Vrexian territory now." Jake kept his face calm. He did not show any anger. He did not show any fear. He spoke with quiet confidence. "I have the authority of being human, Commander. This is our home, our birthplace, our mother world. We are taking it back. We are reclaiming what is ours. That is not how council law works. You cannot just take what you want." The Vrexian's voice grew louder with frustration. "You abandoned this system. You left it empty for over a century. You can ask for money. You can negotiate a settlement. But you cannot simply demand that we leave. We have rights here." "Legal rights," Jake interrupted him. His voice became hard like steel. "We did not abandon anything, Commander. We had no choice. 300 years ago, our sun was dying. It was getting weaker. It was killing our world. We did not have faster-than-light travel. We could not call across the galaxy for help. So we did the only thing we could do. We left. We packed everyone who could fit on a ship. We sent them into the dark, empty space between stars. We were praying we would find something. Anything. Something that could help us save our home." He stepped closer to the screen. His eyes were intense. "We found something, Commander. We found a lot of things. We found new technology. We found allies. We found resources. And now we are back. We are back to fix our sun. We are back to rebuild our home. You have 72 hours to evacuate your people. We will pay you fairly for any losses. We will compensate you for your investments. But make no mistake about this. You are leaving. All of you are leaving our system." Commander Thrix's mandibles clicked together rapidly. It was a sign of agitation in Vrexian body language. "You have no authority to do this. The Council will never accept this. They will not allow you to break the law. They will not let you take what is legally ours." Jake's voice became very quiet. When someone speaks quietly like this, it often means they are most serious. The Council is welcome to object. They can complain all they want. But they should know something first. They should know that humanity tried to join your council 300 years ago. We sent our best people as representatives. We shared our culture with you. We shared our art and our music. We shared our history and our dreams. And we asked for help when our sun started dying. Do you know what your council said to us? The Vrexian did not answer. He just stared at the screen in silence. They said we were too primitive. They said we were not advanced enough to deserve their help. They told us that stellar engineering was not a service they provided to species who could not travel faster than light. They told us we should focus on accepting our fate with grace and dignity. Jake's jaw became tight. His anger was clear now. So we saved ourselves. We did what no one else would do for us. And now we are home. 72 hours, Commander. That is all the time you have. He cut the transmission. The screen went black. The bridge was quiet for a moment. Behind Jake, Commander Lisa Hughes cleared her throat softly. She was his first officer. She was much older than Jake. She had commanded ships before he was even born. She had seen many things in her long career. Do you think they will actually leave peacefully? Her voice carried doubt. Jake turned to face her. He looked at this woman who had taught him so much. They will call the council first. That is what they always do. They will follow procedure. The council will hold meetings. They will debate and argue. Then they will realize we are completely serious when our stellar engineers start working on the sun. After that, he shrugged his shoulders. After that, they will either accept reality or they will make the biggest mistake of their civilization's history. And if they choose wrong? What if they decide to fight us? Lisa's question hung in the air. Jake looked out at the fleet behind them. He could see the massive ships waiting in formation. 300 years of desperate innovation hung in space. 300 years of humanity learning that when no one else will save you, you must save yourself. 300 years of growth and change. 300 years of building and adapting in the dark, empty space between the stars. The fleet represented everything humanity had become. Then they will learn something important. Jake's voice was soft but certain. They will learn why predators do not usually evolve from prey animals. They will learn what happens when you corner a species. They will learn what happens when you leave people to die, and they refuse to accept that death. They will learn that survival makes you strong in ways that peace never can. Lisa nodded slowly. She understood. She had been there in the dark years. She had been on one of the generation ships. She had seen children born who would never see a planet. She had watched people die knowing they would never go home. She had felt that desperation, that drive to survive at any cost. She knew what humanity had become in 3 centuries of exile. The bridge crew worked quietly at their stations. Each person knew their role. They had trained for this moment. Some of them had been born on Earth before the evacuation. Most had been born in space. But all of them knew the stories. All of them carried the memory of 8 billion people who had died. 8 billion people the Council had refused to help. That memory drove them. That memory made them strong. Sir, the Vrexian station is broadcasting on all frequencies. Danny spoke from communications. They are calling for Council support. They are claiming we are invading their territory. They are asking for military assistance. Let them call. Jake's voice was unconcerned. The Council will send observers. They will send diplomats. They will not send warships, not yet. They do not understand what they are dealing with. They think we are the same primitive species that left 300 years ago. They think we are still weak and divided. They will learn otherwise soon enough. A junior officer looked up from her science station. Captain, I am detecting energy readings from the planet, from Earth itself. There are still automated systems functioning down there. Old satellites. Old defense platforms. They are damaged, but some are still operational. Should we shut them down? Jake felt emotion rise in his chest. Those were systems his ancestors had built. Systems that had kept working for 300 years with no one to maintain them. They were a testament to human engineering. To human persistence, no. Leave them active. They are part of our history. Part of our heritage. We will repair them when we return. We will restore them to working order. They deserve that much respect. Lisa moved to stand beside him at the viewport. They both looked at the planet Mars. The Vrexian mining operations covered its surface like scars. Humanity had once planned to make Mars a second home. They had started the work of changing it, making it livable. Then the sun started dying and all those plans had ended. Now strangers lived where humans should have been. We are really doing this. Lisa's voice was quiet. We are really taking back our home. After all this time. After everything we have been through. We are finally going home. Jake nodded. His reflection in the viewport showed a young man with old eyes. Eyes that had seen too much. Eyes that carried the weight of billions of dead. Yes, we are going home. And nothing in this galaxy is going to stop us. Not the Council. Not the Vrexians, nothing. This is our system. This is our birthright. And we are taking it back. The horizon continued its slow approach to the mining station. Behind it, the rest of the human fleet waited in perfect formation. They were patient. They were ready. They had waited 300 years. They could wait 72 more hours. But after that, the waiting would end. After that, humanity would reclaim what was theirs, and the galaxy would have to accept it. The emergency council session lasted 6 hours. It felt much longer than that. Representatives from 40 different species argued in endless circles. Their voices echoed through the grand chamber. This chamber had witnessed 3,000 years of galactic governance. It had seen the rise and fall of civilizations, but nothing like this had ever happened before. No species had ever returned from the dead. Vexthar sat in his position at the head of the chamber. He listened to everything. He watched the patterns of argument. He felt the weight of history pressing down on his shoulders. This decision would change everything. He knew that. Everyone knew that. But no one could agree on what to do. We cannot set this precedent. Ambassador Krell's voice was sharp and angry. She stood at her position, all 6 eyes focused on the center of the chamber. If we allow them to simply take what they want, we invite chaos. If we let them ignore established law, everything falls apart. The Vrexian claim is completely legal. The humans abandoned Sol. They left it empty. They have no legal grounds for this invasion. Invasion? A voice came from the back of the chamber. Everyone turned to look. Dr. Henry Webb stepped forward slowly. He was old by human standards. He was nearly 90 years old. His gray beard was carefully trimmed. His blue eyes were sharp and clear despite his age. He had been born on Earth. He had been a young scientist when the evacuation began. He was one of the few humans left who remembered their home planet before the silence. You call this an invasion? That is an interesting choice of words, Ambassador. Henry's voice was calm but firm. He walked slowly toward the center of the chamber. His steps were careful and measured. The chamber became quiet. Few representatives had expected humanity to send anyone to negotiate. Most had assumed violence would come. Most had prepared for war. The presence of this old human diplomat surprised everyone. Dr. Webb. Vexthar spoke carefully. Your presence here is unexpected. We were told that humans would not negotiate. We were told you would simply take what you wanted by force. We are always willing to talk, Director, Henry replied. He continued his slow walk to the chamber center. But let us be very clear about the situation we face. Let us be honest about history. 300 years ago, we came to this council as beggars. We came with our hands out. We came asking for help. Our son was dying. We had the science to understand what was happening. We could measure the changes. We could predict the end. But we did not have the technology to fix it. We did not have the tools to save our world, so we asked for help. He turned slowly in a circle. He made eye contact with various representatives around the chamber. We were not asking for charity. We were not asking for something for nothing. We offered everything we had. We offered our art and culture. We offered our scientific theories. We offered labor and resources from our asteroid belt. We offered to become a client species. We offered to work for centuries to repay the debt. We begged for just one single ship with stellar engineering capabilities. Just one ship. Just one chance to save our home. The Council operates under strict protocols, Dr. Webb, Krell said defensively. Her voice was less certain now. We cannot interfere in every species' natural development. It creates dependency. It stops growth. It prevents species from learning important lessons. Henry's voice suddenly became very cold. Like ice, like the void of space itself. You let 8 billion people die. That was the population of Earth when we evacuated. 8 billion human beings. Men, women, and children. We had 200 ships, Ambassador. Only 200 ships. These ships were built with technology we barely understood. We assembled them from materials we had to mine from the asteroid belt. We built them while our sun grew more unstable every single day. We saved 40 million people. 40 million out of 8 billion. The silence in the chamber was complete. No one spoke. No one moved. The weight of that number hung in the air. 8 billion dead. 8 billion people who could have been saved. 8 billion lives that the Council had deemed not worth saving. The rest died when the sun finally gave out. Henry continued. His voice shook slightly with emotion. They died in darkness. They died in cold. They died knowing that species with the power to save them had chosen not to. They died because of protocols. They died because we were not advanced enough to matter. They died alone and afraid in the dark. His hands clenched into fists. So yes, we left. We took our 40 million survivors and we disappeared into the void. We went into the empty darkness between stars. And do you know what we did out there? Do you know what we became? He pulled out a small device from his pocket. A hologram sprang to life above the chamber floor. It showed a star system. The system was beautiful and complex. It had orbital rings and massive structures. These were things that humans should not have been able to build. Things that required technology far beyond what they had possessed 300 years ago. We survived. We adapted. We learned. Henry's voice grew stronger. We found 3 other species in our wandering. 3 other species that your council had also deemed too primitive to help. 3 other species facing extinction. We pooled our knowledge. We shared everything we had. We held nothing back. And we built something new, something your council never imagined, something your council never thought possible, because your council never had to. You never faced extinction. You never knew that desperate need to survive at any cost. The hologram shifted. It now showed fleet compositions. It showed technological specifications. It showed resource outputs that made several representatives gasp out loud. The numbers were impossible. The technology was beyond anything the Council possessed. How had primitive species achieved this? We built an alliance of the abandoned. Henry said quietly. 4 species, all left to die by this Council, all working together, all sharing knowledge freely. And now we are coming home, not to conquer, not to destroy, not to take revenge, just to fix our sun, just to rebuild our world, just to reclaim what was always ours. Vexthar studied the old human carefully. He saw pain in those blue eyes. He saw loss, but he also saw strength. What do you want from us, Dr. Webb? What does humanity want from the Council? Recognition. Henry's answer was simple. The Vrexian claim on Sol is void. It means nothing. They colonized our home while we were gone, while we were fighting to survive, while we were struggling in the dark. We are offering fair compensation for their investments. We will pay them for their time and resources. But they are leaving. They are leaving our system. The Council can accept this peacefully. The Council can recognize reality, or... He gestured to the hologram, which now showed the full extent of the human fleet. Or you can try to stop us. Is that a threat? Krell demanded. Are you threatening the entire Council? Henry looked at her with sadness. No, Ambassador. It is not a threat. It is a statement of fact. We are not asking for permission. We stopped asking for permission 300 years ago when you told us to die quietly. We are informing you of what will happen. We are being polite enough to explain our actions. The only question is whether the Council chooses to recognize reality or wastes lives trying to maintain a legal fiction. He turned and started walking toward the exit. His old legs moved slowly. Then he paused. He stopped walking and looked back over his shoulder. Oh, and one more thing. Those 3 other species we allied with, the ones you also abandoned to die, they are outside Council space right now. They are watching this meeting. They are waiting to see what you do. If this goes badly, if you attack us, they will not stop at Sol. They will liberate every primitive species you have left to die. They will tear down the Council's borders. They will share technology with everyone. They will end your monopoly on advanced knowledge. You would not dare, someone whispered from the back of the chamber. The voice was filled with fear. Henry smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. It was cold and hard. We are humans, Ambassador. We are the species that refused to die when our sun went out. We are the ones who walked into the void with no map and no hope. We built a civilization in the darkness with nothing but determination and desperation. We turned 40 million refugees into a power that rivals your entire Council. You really think we would not dare? You really think we fear you after everything we have survived? He left the chamber. The doors closed behind him with a soft sound. The chamber immediately erupted in chaos. Everyone started shouting at once. Fear filled the air like smoke. Anger and confusion mixed together. The Council had never faced anything like this before. Vexithar did not join the shouting. He sat quietly and thought about what the human had said. He thought about 8 billion dead. He thought about 40 million survivors building something from nothing. He thought about what desperation could create, what necessity could forge, what survival could teach. The Council had made a choice 300 years ago. They had chosen protocol over compassion. They had chosen rules over lives. They had let an entire species face extinction because helping them was inconvenient. Now that choice had returned to haunt them. Now they faced the consequences of leaving humanity to die. And the terrifying truth was this: humanity had not just survived. They had thrived. They had taken their desperation and turned it into strength. They had taken their anger and turned it into innovation. The Vrexian High Command made their decision 12 hours before the human deadline expired. They would not evacuate. They would not abandon 2 centuries of investment. They would not give up their legal claim without a fight. They had built mines on Mars. They had established colonies on orbital platforms. They had families living in the Sol system. They had rights. They would defend those rights with military force if necessary. Admiral Corks commanded the Vrexian Third Fleet from the bridge of the VMS Emperor's Mandate. This ship was legendary among the Vrexian military. It had seen 40 successful campaigns. It had never been defeated in battle. Corks himself was a veteran of numerous conflicts. He knew strategy. He knew tactics. He was confident in his abilities and the abilities of his fleet. All ships report ready for combat, Admiral, his tactical officer announced from her station. The information displayed on multiple screens around the bridge. 300 vessels under your command. We outnumber the human force 2 to 1. We have superior positioning. We control the orbital space. All advantages are ours. Corks nodded with satisfaction. The humans had sent only 150 ships into the Sol system. They had kept the rest of their fleet at a distance. This seemed like arrogance to Corks. Or perhaps it showed ignorance of proper military doctrine. Either way, it was a mistake. A mistake he would exploit. With 2-to-1 odds, this battle should be straightforward. The humans would quickly realize they were outmatched. They would retreat or be destroyed. "Sir, we are receiving a transmission." It is from the human captain again. The communications officer looked up from his console, put him on the main screen. Quarks wanted to see the human's face when he realized his mistake. Jake Morrison's face appeared on the screen. Quarks noticed something he had not seen before. The human captain looked sad. Not angry. Not excited for the coming battle. Not nervous about being outnumbered. Just deeply, profoundly sad. This confused Quarks. Why would a commander about to lose a battle look sad rather than afraid? "Admiral Quarks," Jake's voice was quiet and gentle. "Please do not do this. I know your fleet is powering up weapons. I know you think you can win this fight. You cannot win. You have no chance of victory. Just leave. Please just take your people and go. Live. Choose life. Choose to see tomorrow. Do not throw away lives for a legal claim that is not worth dying for." Quarks felt his mandibles click together in what humans might call laughter. "You presume much, human. You speak with great confidence for someone who is badly outnumbered. This system is ours by law. The Council recognizes our claim. If you want war, we will give it to you. We will show you that legal rights mean something. We will defend what is ours." Jake closed his eyes for a long moment. When he opened them again, they looked even sadder than before. "We did not come here to kill anyone. That is not what we are. That is not who we want to be. But Admiral, you need to understand something very important. You need to understand what you are really facing here. The 40 million people who survived Earth's death were raised on stories. Stories of everyone we lost. Stories of everyone this galaxy let die. We built our entire civilization around one single principle, one core belief that drives everything we do. Never again. Never will we let our people die when we have the power to save them. Never will we abandon those who need us. Never again. Spare me your philosophy, human." Quarks's voice was harsh. "Spare me your sad stories. Submit to Council law or face the consequences. Those are your only options, Admiral." Jake interrupted him. His voice became hard as steel. "Cut your weapon systems now. Power down immediately. Or I will cut them for you." Quarks laughed again. This human was delusional. "You have 150 ships. I have 300. Basic mathematics says you cannot win. Basic logic says you should retreat. You are outnumbered and outgunned. Accept reality." Then something impossible happened. Every weapon system on every Vrexian ship simply stopped working. They did not malfunction. They did not overload. They just turned off. Like someone had flipped a switch. Targeting computers rebooted on their own. Shield generators flickered and dimmed. Point defense systems went dark. For 10 full seconds, the entire Third Fleet was completely defenseless. 300 warships rendered helpless in an instant. Then everything came back online. Systems restored themselves. Weapons powered up again. Shields returned to full strength. But the message was absolutely clear. The humans had reached into Vrexian systems through military-grade encryption and shielding that should have been completely impenetrable. They had shut down an entire fleet as easily as turning off a light, and they had turned it back on to prove they could. "The next time, I will not turn your systems back on." Jake's voice was very soft now. "And Admiral, we did not just disable your weapons. We have complete control of your life support systems, your engines, your navigation, your communications. Everything, every single system on every single ship in your fleet is now under our control. I could kill every person in your fleet right now without firing a single shot. I could shut down your life support and watch you all suffocate. I will not do that. Despite everything, despite what your council did to us, we are not murderers. We do not kill when we do not have to. But you need to understand what you are really facing here. You need to understand that this is not a fight you can win." Quark stared at his tactical display in absolute horror. His tactical officer was running diagnostics as fast as she could. Her fingers flew across her console. Her face showed growing panic. The results that appeared on screen were impossible. They made no sense. The humans had bypassed every security system, every firewall, every defense protocol, every safeguard that Vrexian engineers had developed over 3,000 years of spacefaring civilization. They had waltzed through military-grade security like it was not even there. "You have 30 minutes to begin evacuation procedures." Jake continued. His voice remained calm and gentle. "We will help you coordinate. We will make sure everyone gets out safely. We will provide escort ships to protect you as you leave. We will give you time to gather your belongings and your families. But this standoff is over, Admiral. This fight is finished before it began. Accept that truth. Accept reality and choose life. The transmission ended. The screen went black. The bridge of the Emperor's mandate was silent. Every officer stared at their stations in shock. They had come expecting a battle. They had prepared for combat. Instead, they had found something that could reach inside their ships, something that could touch their most protected systems, something that could shut them down like children's toys. Quarks looked at his officers. He saw the fear in their eyes. He saw the understanding dawning on their faces. They all knew what this meant. They all realized what kind of technology the humans possessed, what kind of capability they had developed in 300 years of desperate survival. What kind of species could create such things? Begin evacuation procedures immediately. His voice was quiet but firm. All ships, all personnel. We are leaving this system. Start organizing transport. Contact all orbital stations and surface installations. Everyone leaves. No one stays behind. Sir, the High Command ordered us to hold this position. The tactical officer's voice shook. They ordered us to fight. They said our claim is legal and worth defending. If we retreat without firing a shot, they will court-martial you. They will strip your rank. They will disgrace your name. They can court-martial me later if they want. Quark snapped. They can take my rank. They can disgrace my name. I do not care about any of that right now. Right now, my only priority is keeping my people alive. The humans were not bluffing. They demonstrated their capability. They could have killed us all with a thought. They chose not to. That choice tells me everything I need to know about whether we should keep pushing. That choice tells me they are giving us a way out, and I am taking it. He turned to face his entire bridge crew. He wanted them all to understand. These humans are not conquerors. They are not invaders seeking to destroy. They are survivors. And survivors who learned to thrive in the void for 3 centuries are not enemies you fight. That kind of desperation creates innovation we cannot match. That kind of need drives development we cannot imagine. This is not an enemy you can defeat with superior numbers or better tactics. This is an enemy you negotiate with. You trade with. You make peace with. Because if they survived what they went through, they can survive anything we throw at them, and they will do far worse to us than we can do to them. The evacuation began within minutes. Ships started coordinating departure schedules. Stations sent out calls for all personnel to prepare for immediate evacuation. Mining operations shut down. Families gathered their belongings. Children were collected from schools. Within an hour, the first transport ships were leaving Martian orbit. The war that might have been never happened. The battle that could have killed thousands ended before a single shot was fired. Quarks watched the evacuation proceed on his displays. He felt no shame at his decision. He felt no regret. He had saved his people. That was what mattered. That was what commanders were supposed to do. Protect their people. Bring them home alive. Sometimes that meant fighting. Sometimes it meant knowing when not to fight. His tactical officer approached him quietly. The sun was dying, but not for much longer. Help was finally coming after 300 years of slow death. The star that had given birth to humanity would be saved. The light that had warmed Earth for billions of years would shine bright again. Technology that had been denied would now be freely given. By humans, to themselves, for themselves. Jake stood in the observation deck of the horizon. Large windows showed him the view of space. He watched as massive stellar engineering platforms moved into position around Sol. Each platform was enormous. Each one was a miracle of technology and engineering. These platforms had been built from knowledge shared between 4 desperate species, 4 races that had learned that survival meant cooperation. That sharing knowledge was better than hoarding it. That helping each other was the only way forward. Fusion stabilizers are online and operating normally. Dr. Amy Sullivan's voice came through the communication system. She was monitoring the stellar engineering equipment from the main science vessel. Magnetic field generators are at optimal power levels. All systems are green. We are ready to begin the restoration process. Do it. Jake's voice was steady, but inside he felt emotion rising. This was the moment 300 years in the making. This was why 40 million people had fled into darkness. This was why they had survived against impossible odds. So they could come home. So they could fix their son. so they could reclaim their birthright. The platforms activated, energy fields that were invisible to normal eyes wrapped around the dying star. They stabilized fusion reactions deep in the solar core. They reignited processes that had begun to fail centuries ago. It would take months to fully restore Sol to its former glory. But the work had started. The healing had begun. Humanity's homestar would live again. Children would be born under its light. Families would feel its warmth. Life would return to Earth. Behind Jake, the door to the observation deck slid open with a soft sound. He turned to see Dr. Henry Webb entering. The old man moved slowly and carefully. His steps showed his age. Low gravity helped, but did not completely remove the burden of 90 years. Henry had lived through so much, seen so much, lost so much. The council voted, Henry said without any greeting or small talk. He got straight to the point. The decision was unanimous. Every single representative voted the same way. Sol is officially recognized as human sovereign territory. The Vrexian Mining Consortium will be fully compensated from Council emergency funds, and the Council is inviting us to apply for full membership. They want humanity to join them officially. Jake made a sound that was half laugh and half snort. Now they want us. After 300 years of silence, after letting 8 billion people die, after telling us we were too primitive to matter, now that we have power and technology they fear, suddenly we are worthy of membership. How convenient for them. It is politics, Henry replied with a tired sigh. He settled into a comfortable chair with clear relief. They are terrified, not just of our military power, though that certainly helps our case. They are terrified of what we represent, what we symbolize. 4 abandoned species working together, sharing everything, building something the Council never imagined possible. If we tell other primitive species what the Council did to us, what they are still doing to others right now, everything changes. The whole system falls apart. Jake finished the thought. Because there are hundreds of species out there that the Council has decided are not worth helping. Species facing extinction right now. Species struggling with problems that Council technology could easily solve. And now they all know there is an alternative. Now they know that the abandoned can survive, can thrive, can build something better. Exactly right. Henry looked out the viewport at the sun. He watched it slowly beginning to brighten as the platforms worked their magic. What do you want to do, Captain? You are young enough that your opinion will shape the next generation. Your choices will determine humanity's path forward. So what do you think we should do? Jake was quiet for a long moment. He thought about his grandmother. She had told him stories when he was young. Stories about Earth before the silence. Stories about blue oceans and green forests. Stories about mountains that touched the sky and cities that glowed at night. I want to go home. His voice was soft with longing. I want to stand on Earth's actual surface. I want to breathe air that is not recycled through machines. I want to feel gravity that is not generated by spinning a ship. I want to see the oceans my grandmother described. The forest she remembered. The mountains she climbed as a girl. But, Henry prompted. He knew there was more. He could hear it in Jake's voice. But there are other species out there right now facing what we faced. Jake turned away from the viewport to face the old man directly. Right this moment, somewhere in the galaxy, a sun is dying. A plague is spreading. An environment is collapsing. And the Council is watching those species die because they are not advanced enough. Because helping them would violate protocols. Because their extinction is considered natural development. He walked closer to Henry. We cannot join the Council. Not yet. Not while they continue to abandon species that need help. First, we need to find those species. We need to help them just like we helped ourselves. We need to show them they are not alone. We need to give them what the Council refused to give us. Hope, technology, a chance to survive. A future, Henry smiled. It was a real smile this time. Warm and genuine. That stance is going to make you very unpopular with the Council. They will see it as interference. They will call it a violation of their sovereignty. They will say you are disrupting the natural order of the galaxy. I do not care what they think of me. Jake's voice was firm. I do not care if they like us or hate us. 300 years ago, the galaxy watched 8 billion humans die. They watched and did nothing. They had the power to help and chose not to use it. We survived, yes, but we did not survive just to rebuild Earth and pretend none of that mattered. We did not claw our way back from extinction just to become comfortable and forget. We survived to make sure it never happens again. To anyone. Ever. On the main view screen, The first transport ships began their descent toward Earth. These ships carried the first wave of returning humans. 40 million people going home after 3 centuries in the void. Not all of them would survive the adjustment. Gravity was hard on bodies that had been born in space. The change would be difficult. Some elderly people would die from the stress. But they would die at home, on the soil of their ancestors, under the light of their sun. And that meant everything. The Council is going to fight this decision, Henry warned. His voice was serious now. They will see your mission as a direct threat to their authority. They will say you are destabilizing the galactic order. They will try to stop you through diplomacy first, then through economic pressure. Eventually, if you push hard enough, they might even try military action. Let them fight. Jake's expression became hard. His eyes showed determination. Let them try to stop us. We are not asking for their permission anymore. We asked 300 years ago when we needed help. We begged them. We offered them everything we had. And they said no. They told us to die with grace and dignity. Well, we did not die. We survived. We adapted. We thrived in conditions that should have killed us. And now we are going to make sure every species gets the same chance we fought for. The same opportunity we earned. The same future we built. He pulled up a star chart on a nearby console. The holographic display showed dozens of highlighted systems. Each one contained a species that the Council had deemed too primitive to save. Each one was facing extinction from causes the Council could easily prevent. Each one was being watched and studied and allowed to die. For science, for protocols, for the natural order, we start here. Jake pointed to the nearest highlighted system. The Kelthani civilization. Their planet is dying from industrial pollution. They have the science to understand what is happening. They can measure the toxins in their air and water, but they do not have the technology to fix it. Not yet. The Council says they need to learn from their mistakes. The Council says their extinction will be a valuable lesson for other species to study. And what do we say? Henry asked, though he already knew the answer. We say that learning from mistakes does not require extinction. We say that knowledge should be shared, not hoarded. We will give them atmospheric scrubbers. We will teach them sustainable technology. We will show them how to heal their world without destroying their culture or their independence. And in return, we will ask only one thing. We will ask them to do the same for the next species they find. We will ask them to help others just as we helped them. We will build a network of cooperation that the Council cannot control or stop. Henry stood up slowly. His old joints creaked with the movement. He walked to stand beside Jake at the viewport. Together they looked out at Earth, at the sun growing brighter with each passing moment, at the fleet of ships waiting to carry humanity's message to the stars, at the future they were building. You know what the Council is going to call this entire endeavor? Henry asked quietly. What will they call it? Rebellion, chaos, the end of galactic order, the destruction of 3,000 years of careful governance. They will paint you as a revolutionary,